Alright, what is going on YouTube? BacT versus Ganji. I only have two series left from the round of 64 to cast. Everything else has already been uploaded. This is going to be one of the last ones from the first round of qualifiers to do for me. BacT, one of the best Vietnamese players out there, even though he has recently taken a step back, unfortunately, so ACCM has now passed him as the best Vietnamese player, most likely. Still, he's a strong player overall. The main concern that he's having is consistency nowadays. Ganji, on the other hand, is an excellent team game player, one of the highest team game rated players, and he's very, very good overall in team games. He's a member of the ROR clan, which gathers a lot of talented, high level players. He is not so shining in 1v1, but he's got the mechanical skills to be successful. So we will see what he can do against BacT. BacT should be the higher seeded player though in this one. And my prediction for this one is 3-2 for BacT, even without seeing the home maps. I haven't seen the home maps right now. We're going to take a look at that in a moment. So, Aztecs and Chinese were the global bans. Franks were sniped away from BacT, so he's going to be left with Vikings, Mongols, Tatars, Berbers, Portuguese, Huns. Other side, Ganji will be left with Britons, Mayans, Indians, Japanese, Ethiopians, and Spanish after Italians were sniped away from him. Home maps will be Islands and Gold Rush for BacT, and Ganji will be playing with Slopes and Bay. Bans were Hideout from BacT and Cross from Ganji. With that, let us jump into the first game over here. BacT versus Ganji in Hidden Cup 4 qualifiers. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but BacT might have played in... I'm not sure if he played in Hidden Cup 3. I think he did in Hidden Cup 2 maybe, because when Hidden Cup 2 was around, he was actually having his best performance, or at least one of the best performances across that era. I'm not sure how he performed in Hidden Cups before. I don't remember his performances. But overall, around the time where Hidden Cup 2 was a thing, he was one of the strongest players in the world. Especially with like Team Vietnam was actually very, very dominant. Well, not super dominant because there was Team Secret and Aftermath overall there as well. But in ECL, the team of BacT, ACCM, Say My Name, I think they might have had some other players over there, was still very, very strong. And I think it was somewhere around the third or fourth place, maybe, in ECL. I honestly don't remember. But Vietnam was a very, very strong team back then. And their best player at that time was BacT and not ACCM. Nowadays, ACCM is a little bit better than BacT. But obviously, BacT can commit way less time to playing right now, so he got married. I'm not sure if he has actually getting kids, but I know that he got married, so obviously family matters means that he's able to commit less time to playing competitive Age Vampires. Anyways, we're going to have Britons for Ganji over here in blue on the right side. Left side is going to be Huns for BacT. So Huns on Arabia, that's a very, very old school type of a play. I am a big fan of Huns on Arabia myself because of the versatility that they have. Overall, I love playing Huns myself, so I actually like this selection over here, as Ganji is going to lose his scout over here, which hurts quite badly because he wanted to use that for a drush. Wars are coming in on the wood line and on the mill, and as much as I said that BacT has had a kind of a step back compared to his previous performances with Definitive Edition coming out. In recent memory, I think he upped his game a little bit, so he definitely improved. And as I said that, he just messed up that quick wall over there and almost got the militias inside his wood line. He's going to be still fine though, even though these are Dark Age walls only. He's going for a 20 pop scouts build. Whereas on the other side, Ganji is going for some crazy walls. And it kind of seems like this is trying to be an early Drush into Archers play with the Britons. Drush into Archers would normally be 24 wheels, or 23 maybe. Britons could maybe try to squeeze in 22 because of their sheep bonus at the beginning, but I'm not sure how clean this is going to be for Ganji. He's also open over here, and I'm not sure if he knows that. Okay, now he knows it, and he's going to wall that one off. Scouts from BacT is already around, 3 villagers trying to wall, but there is still a lot of space to wall over here. Militias trying to knock down the middle over here. So in a team game setting, I would say that Ganji might actually be even close to BacT in terms of how he's capable of performing at his peak. In 1v1, I would think that even a somewhat rusty BacT should be a superior player compared to Ganji, because, as I said, Ganji enjoys playing team games, he's playing a lot of them, not so much in 1v1s. Anyways, we are gonna have indeed a rush into archers from Ganji, and now he's getting housed. So indeed the 22 Voyagers was a little too tight, because as see the archers will be, or archer range will be coming down, but even then he's got 2 on gold, so he won't be able to afford a lot of archers at the beginning. So this was a little too early for a rush into archers play, and it seems like BacT is coming forward with the towers. So, scouts into towers is something that BacT... There's a couple of players that like to do this, like Mr. Yo liked to do that, especially back then. I think now Mr. Yo isn't as aggressive as he used to be. He's a lot more balanced, and he's willing to bring games into late game a lot more often, other than just going for some very aggressive tower plays. But Vivi loves to do this, for example. BacT is also one of the players, and many other Chinese players are there that are extremely aggressive in this game. Mostly it is Chinese players that love to do this strategy. Here is a tower that goes up, a Voyager goes down over here from Ganji, so that is an awful start for him. He still has a Voodoo at the back, and BacT is not on stone, which means that currently he's unable to drop another tower over there. Counter tower is coming in here from Ganji, so he's trying to prevent those Voyagers from walking into his base. He kind of has to, because if that gold mine is lost, he's gonna be in serious trouble. He tries to mount a counter attack, but BacT intercepts it, picks off the spearman, and the idea is that you just want to make sure that archers don't hit your eco with the counter attack. So it seems like this gold mine is going to be safe for Ganji over here, but I feel like BacT already accomplished a lot by just idling those Voyagers over there, causing a lot of damage. He killed one Voyager there as well. And now he's already adding skirmishers, so scouts and skirms is the name of the game for him. And remember that because he's playing a scouts build, his food eco is actually pretty well developed. So he's 14 on food and he's already having horse color bit axe, whereas the opponent just starting to add farms, no horse color on them. And with a much more developed food eco, the Hunnic player is going to be able to potentially beat his opponent to cast stage here. It's only 3 militias and an archer, so you might even wait for that skirmisher so that you can really get some value and make sure that you lose the lowest HP possible on those scouts. As some of these Voyagers might be exposed to this, but with skirms out, the archer should die relatively easily, and Ganji will now notice the Voyagers, but these guys will have loom, and as I said, they will just commit to this engagement. The best thing that Ganji can do is indeed try to kill some of these low HP scouts, and the reason why BacT is not committing to that is because he knows that it is better for him to preserve the scout numbers. It's not like this is a threatening push or anything. Now, the thing is that if BacT isn't mining stone and he's going to be sitting on 75, that means that he's going to be playing 1 TC for a while with Huns, even though he could buy stone for himself. But it could also be a possibility that we are seeing a triple range Cav Archer switch from the Hunnic player over here. BacT has been around in the community for quite a while, so he's definitely one of the more old school players. So triple range Cav Archer play on Arabia from him with Huns wouldn't be something that's like insanely surprising. Anyways, he is still getting a couple of scouts on the field with skirmishers. This should limit Ganji's movement. Ganji actually had to make his own defensive tower as well and had to make multiple outposts to make sure that his base isn't gonna get breached. Now he has stabilized, but he also had 1 minute idle time on his TC. BacT also had 41 seconds, but that's still 1 Voyager difference. Although BacT had a lot of idle eco, somewhat surprisingly, so it's a little bit sloppy, but now he is going towards Castle Age over here with those resources. We'll just camp this hill, and really, right now what he needs to make sure, and he knows that, is that his opponent is just unable to hit his eco, and he's probably going to beat his opponent into Castle Age, and we might even see elite skirms. In that case, although he's not adding any more skirms, he doesn't even have any upgrades on those skirms, so no fletching, no +1 defense. So theoretically, if Ganji commits this one with fletching, he should be able to get through this one and could actually launch a dangerous counterattack. But Ganji instead reacts to the scouts, trying to push through the walls over there. Archers will be dispatched. The archers are missing fletching here as well, so neither of the players are really committing any resources to upgrading their army, as Ganji is also hoping to go up in the castle age here, but all of these farms will be without horse color, whereas the opponent is going to have always farms with horse color, so the eco efficiency is going to be much better for BacT over here. There is the second range, and considering that he's not making skirms, he's not making crossbows, as I'm saying that, he's going to add a couple more skirms. It might just be double range skirms, and then potentially knights added to that, although, as I said, it is not something that's impossible to see. Maybe just double range cav archers, although I feel like if you play cav archers, especially straight cav archers, you probably play triple range CA. We're gonna have a blacksmith coming in here from BacT. He's trying to mine stone as well, which means that he wants an additional TC relatively fast here. Still, I would be surprised if this wasn't a fast ballistics play from him, and he's gonna go for a lot of skirms at the beginning, still no upgrades on those guys. Meanwhile, we have Ganji also going up to Castle Age over here. He is gonna have a nice and comfy 5 Vultures lead, although it is, as I said, compensated by the fact that he's later to Castle Age, and he doesn't have wheelbarrow, which means that at the end of the day, I think the two ecos are relatively close, if not BacT having an upper hand. Anyways, BacT is going for a lot of skirmishes over here, so I think at this point Elite Skirm is almost guaranteed, and it might actually make sense, because as much as I praised Hans for having the versatility on Arabia, I feel like Britons are so one-dimensional. Like, they just don't have anything going for them, really. So that is less than convincing. Well, they do have archers, but I mean, the problem that they're facing is that they are going to struggle against like a knight in Elite Skirm play. Obviously, they can try playing mangonels, but they are way less versatile than their opponents are, and it seems like Ganji actually wants to play this one with knights. Now, that stable could be visible for BacT if he actually is looping his scouts this way, but that seems somewhat unlikely. And there's the cav archers, there's a third range, and so I was right about the triple range CA over here, but they still just have fletching, +1 defense is in, but no Botkin upgrade. And now Ganji is gonna see the cav archers, and the thing is that on a map that's open like Arabia, the cav archers will also give you an awful lot of mobility. So the thing is that you can use these elite skirms that are somewhere around over here to just hold off the army of Ganji while you're actually using the cav archers to raid his eco to death. And remember that if you take a look at BacT's scouting, he knows exactly how Ganji's base looks like. He knows exactly that his opponent is going to run out of wood pretty soon, and he's going to have to move towards new wood lines, and he's playing for that right now. Sees the crossbows moving out as well. He's waiting for them with the skirmishers, and look at that, he's sending the cav archers elsewhere. He knows that the army was over here, and Britain army is very slow. One of the reasons why I don't necessarily like them on Arabia. That's a nice hill advantage over there for BacT, as he takes down one crossbowman and forces all those guys all the way back. Now, there's a couple of knights here as well, but that will just mean that BacT is going to have to bring in a couple of cav archers to deal with them. University for ballistics coming in here for both sides. You already have University up by Ganji, and you're just going to take this hill. The knights also do not have bloodlines, they only have +1 defense, so they're not particularly sturdy when it comes to surviving arrow fire. As skirmishers will now try to take this again. This is a tricky engagement for BacT because he's getting heavily outnumbered. It is 14 crossbows and 2 knights versus only 8 skirms and a couple of cav archers. But now that the knights are more or less dead, this is a good enough engagement, I believe, for BacT, especially given the fact that while Ganji was busy microing this, the cav archers break into his eco, and it doesn't matter how good this engagement is for Ganji if he pretty much loses his entire eco. Even the scouts are joining the fun, and if BacT had ballistics here, he would be absolutely stomping his opponent. The only reason why Ganji is alive is because there was no ballistics for BacT here. Now, BacT's got quite a lot of openings here, and the crossbows could actually try sneaking past the TC. So as good as that counter raid was from BacT, he only killed 2 vultures overall in this entire game, whereas his opponent killed 1. So yeah, that looked very scary, but at the end of the day, BacT didn't really kill anything from his opponent, to be honest. What he did was force a lot of vultures on this wood line, which is denied by the tower. Now, The Cav Archers, once again, just running around picking off Villagers. Crossbows trying to accomplish the same thing. Quick Gates coming in here from BacT trying to prevent that. But most of the Cav Archers slowly went down, and there is still a 4 Villagers lead for Ganji, even though his farms are without horse current, he doesn't have wheelbarrow, so the eco should be better for BacT, who is now bringing a couple of elite skirms to deal with the crossbows. Still, the Cav Archer numbers aren't impressive. It's only 12 Cav Archers on the field. Some of them are damaged here, and there's a couple over here. Where are the rest of them? They're assembling over here. Also, it is worth noting that there's ballistics just coming in for BacT, whereas Ganji was so distracted that he completely forgot about ballistics. So he has the university up for a while now, but he is just grabbing ballistics. He was so distracted trying to, you know, fight this one, and then trying to fight this one. There was a lot of things that he had to focus on, and that basically meant that he wasn't able to focus on this engagement. Anyways, with that, we are gonna have the elite skirms and the Cav Archers being a little bit better unit composition, I would say, for BacT. He could still add a second town center though, and this really feels somewhat old schoolish, I would say. So that both players are playing one TC over here, not really expanding their ecos. And the funny thing here is that it's not like they're taking a lot of engagements, so either one of these players could potentially afford a new town center. Now that's a nice micro over there from Ganji, takes down the elite skirms. As there are a couple of Cav Archers inside these ranges, it seems like BacT was looking for his crossbows elsewhere, as he was dispatching a couple of Cav Archers to the left. And now, once again, he goes for counterattack, as he's hoping to break into the base of the opponent here now with ballistics and just deny that gold mine. But here comes the counterattack, and look at this. BacT killed 8 villagers, but that is soon going to equalize between 8 range crossbows picking off villagers left and right, and the numbers are actually pretty good over here for Ganji, as he's pushing BacT away from his resource. Look at the eco of BacT, and look at that eco idle time just rise like crazy, and the Cav Archers have to come all the way back to clean this one up. That's a disaster for BacT, and honestly, if Ganji just dives in here and kills 20 villagers, what is BacT doing? What is BacT doing here? I mean, at the end of the day, the villager KD is still pretty close, but Ganji has a clear 10 villagers lead right now, coming from the fact that he just slaughtered a bunch of villagers, and also there was a lot of idle time there for BacT. Now this is still a cleanup, and at the end of the day, many of these crossbows will bite the dust, so he is gonna be down to like 10-ish crossbowmen. But this allows Ganji to get another TC up, another gold mine, which is, I think, pretty crucial for him. He's floating 1,000 wood in the bank. Meanwhile, his opponent, BacT, also has a very sloppy eco, and currently, as you see, as I said, I feel like BacT is still a little bit rusty compared to his like past self. So Ganji is definitely not one of the stronger opponents you can make in these qualifiers, but I would call this game quite massive for both players. It's not a surprise that it's massive for Ganji, because he's the lower seeded player and definitely the underdog in this series. But the fact that it's actually quite messy, and yeah, it's not super dominant for BacT, and you would expect that BacT, who is mostly a 1v1 focused player, even though he's pretty good in team games, I think that TC was lost. I think that TC might have been killed by the elite skirms, because Ganji is very low on wood, so it might have been a lost TC. I'm not 100% sure, but that was at least very close to that. Now, here's the deal. There's a lot of pile side walls over here for Ganji, and one thing that he could have done is maybe stonewall these missing pieces, or just add houses behind, for the sake of making sure the Cav Archers can't run in, because you have a slow-moving army. So you can't just, you know, hope that you can sit behind your pile side walls, because your opponent is just gonna get through them. So you kind of have to be able to prevent the Cav Archers from just using their mobility against you, and one of the ways that they are using their mobility is by just getting through walls elsewhere, where your army is not present at. Now the thing is that Ganji is having 1 villager on food, 0 now on food. BacT, he is only on 2 TCs, but the difference is that he's got a cheap army. Now it's 30 Cav Archers, even though some of them will get picked off here. But most importantly, there is a Siege Workshop coming in here from Mangonel. BacT, I think, is trying to get some stone for himself, so that he can get a defensive castle up. Goes for a Siege Workshop as well. He's really starving for wood. Look at that. He's got like 30 villagers on this only wood line. How much is that? It's 41 villagers on this screen only. 35 on this wood line. Because these Cav Archers are causing so much chaos, this tower is hurting him a lot as well. Finally, the tower is gonna go down, by the way, from BacT. But this tower is actually coming in clutch for BacT, because this allows him to deny this wood line. And that means that Ganji is out of this wood, so he's gonna have to move over here. Ganji doesn't have a really great map in terms of wood control, I have to say. +2/+2 for both players over here. 25 Cav Archers and 9 Elite Skirms and the Mangonel. You could really make a case for some more Elite Skirms now from BacT, because he's up against nearly pure crossbows, so just a couple of Elite Skirms here could actually be pretty useful. And indeed, here comes the horde of Elite Skirms, as he's waiting for multiple Mangonels to pop out. I'm not sure if Ganji sees that workshop, and he does not. Nice kill advantage over there for the Cav Archers, picking off the crossbows. 34 military against 22. Now Ganji is taking over in terms of villager count, so it's a 70-57 villagers lead over here. And since there is only 8 on food from BacT, it's not like he's going to catch up, so he's gonna have to kind of go for a Castle Age push over here. He's not on stone either, so forward castle isn't an option, so this has to be a Mangonel's aggression overall from him. As we are gonna have Ganji finding that Siege Workshop. Mangonels could actually land some big hits though. The Britain crossbows do outrange Mangonels, but you have to be careful! You have to be careful! Because Ganji was actually potentially even leading in this game, but in just a couple of seconds, half of his army is gone, and now that's a disaster. He lost half of his army, and one move like that could actually change the outcome of games, because normally Ganji would have like a 17 villagers lead and a defendable position with Mangonels and crossbows. Now he lost half of his army. Even then, even if that army is still alive, I would have said, okay, he's probably in a tough spot against BacT, because BacT's got Elite Skirms. There is Rams, there's Mangonels pushing you. But after losing that army, that's a disaster, and that's gonna be eventually a castle attempted somewhere. No, he's selling stone. I thought he's buying stone for defensive castle. No, he's getting a siege workshop up here, but now he's getting pushed back more and more. Villagers will have to be evacuated from this TC, and it's 38 army against just 13. Hill advantage as well on the side of those Mangonels. As that's a little bit sloppy from BacT though. He needs his Cav Archers over here to deny the villagers from actually taking down those Rams. Still, that TC I think is probably gonna go down. I don't think that the villagers will be able to repair it, although it is definitely not impossible. Villagers once again jumping out, and there goes all the villager lead from Ganji. He is having a lot of villager idle time as well. 2 hours 5 minutes will idle time compared to 44 minutes of his opponent. As a Mangonel gets a shot out, misses the target. Ganji is still alive, but I would call his eco everything but efficient. And behind this one, now BacT is slowly building up his food eco, which still is kind of messy, like all these farms expiring and whatnot. So BacT's eco isn't amazing either, I have to say. But one thing that could eventually be an option for him in the very, very long run is potentially Tarkins. Like, it would be very possible for BacT to switch into Tarkins over here if he wishes to. Now he's mining stone, because the thing is that his opponent does not have anything that can deal with Tarkins, only crossbows, and Ganji's eco isn't really strong enough to afford pikeman switch. Now that was actually a nice engagement over there from Ganji, picks off quite a lot of those Cav Archers. Now the ecos are dead even for the two players. Military numbers once again also equalizing. Still, Ganji is having a little bit messy eco over here. And I think the biggest problem that he's going to be facing is that if BacT goes heavy on the Mangonels and Skirms, BacT will be able to drop a castle here. That's the thing. Because BacT is now 9 on stone, so he really wants a castle for himself really fast over here. Mangonels coming all the way around here. Cav Archer numbers aren't impressive anymore for BacT, as he's finding a couple of villager picks over here on the wood line. That is gonna be a Mangonel absolutely destroyed by the crossbows. And this patch of skirmishers was also destroyed. So you see that BacT is having some sloppy moves over here still. He's losing units after units, and the KD is dead even, so it's not like BacT is dominating this game by any means. In fact, I would borderline say that Ganji is playing just as good as BacT does. The problem is that the map position is much better for BacT in this one, because here he pulls the Vultures, and that's gonna be a castle probably on this hill, right in the face of the opponent, or I don't think that he can afford anything more aggressive. He doesn't have a Mangonel to support against that many crossbows. Ganji is kind of cornered in here, and it's also worth noting that, as I said, BacT has a lot more developed food eco, and that's going to be a rather passive castle over here. So he thinks that, okay, it seems like I have the upper hand, so I'm just going to play for the long game. We'll see if that backfires or not, because the thing is that Ganji is pretty much still in this game, even though he is behind currently, especially eco-wise, especially because he's unable to afford to make villagers on his TCs, because his food eco is like almost non-existent. So Ganji needs a lot better food eco if he actually wants to continue being competitive in this specific game, because his opponent is actually piling up the food to potentially click into Imperial, gets heavy plow as well, so the eco upgrades are going to be much better for BacT as well. Both so heavy plow and 29 farmers as opposed to just double BitX. No, not even wheelbarrow, not even horse color, and only 16 on food over here. Ganji is indeed buying food so that he can actually keep his TCs working over here. He technically is on 4 TCs, as opposed to his opponent being on 3, and that's a nice counterattack from Ganji. That's a beautiful counterattack. Look at the eco KDs, they're dead even. Ganji is getting a lot of value for those crossbows, and he could just march this direction as well, force the defensive tower over here as well. It seems like he isn't microing his units though, and the reason why is because he's too busy running these Voyagers that will be picked off by the Cav Archers over here, so he will lose this army before he could get more value from them, but he could have killed a couple more Voyagers on the farms. What a messy game this one is. Like, neither player is playing very clean. You see, there's a lot of chaos on the map happening. So, Mangonel misses the shot, another Mangonel shot missed. Cav Archers will fire down hills trying to finish off the Mangonels and will fail to do so. And here come the Tarkans, and the Tarkan switch here is actually very nice. It's a super underrated unit. You don't really have a lot of upgrades for them though for BacT, but Tarkans are relatively easy to mass. They are a little bit more resistant to the arrow fire than Knights are. In fact, they have 1 extra Pierce armor over them. But one thing that makes Tarkans great is that they're very good against buildings. So, unlike having Knights, you need like 25-30 Knights to dive beneath the TC to destroy that town center. From Tarkans, you probably only need like 15 or so. Still, these guys don't really have great upgrades on them. It's only 3 Pierce armor, so they're actually equivalent of a +1 defense Knight. But Tarkans in large numbers could be something that Ganji really struggles against. We have a great fight over here. Look at that beautiful fight for Ganji once again. And BacT is really not playing clean over here, as he's eventually going to go up to Imperial, but that gold mine is going to be denied from him. And if you just look at the KDs and overall the type of fights that BacT is taking, if there wasn't those kind of, I'm not going to say sloppy mistakes from Ganji, because the thing is that those are more like disasters, like letting those Cav Archers into your eco, I would borderline say that Ganji is sort of having the upper hand. The other thing that I would like to point out, as I said, is that Ganji's army is slow moving. So really, the fact that he's getting raided left and right is really showing in the Voyager KDs now. He's having some very nice counterattacks. You see these over here. This one is going to get cleaned up by skirms though. But the problem is that he's losing more Voyagers than he's killing, and that is because he has a sort of limited mobility. That's a nice kill over there from BacT as well on the Mangonel. And now BacT is going into Imperial. His opponent isn't impossibly far away from him, especially if he sells some of the wood, and the wood still has a good price here. As you see, 100 wood for 60 gold. That would mean that Ganji could actually sell quite a lot as well, and potentially go up into Imperial himself. But as I said, the problem that he's going to be facing is that a potential Tarkan switch would be very hard to counter. He's trying to get some stone for himself. Another TC comes in here on the wood line. He's really starving for wood, as you see. Like, he's getting this wood line raided. He has gotten pushed off from this wood line as well. So, really, he's starving for wood, and with returns that actually hurts you really badly. And that's scaleboarding. It might just be a Knight switch, but I would love to see a Tarkan switch. Tarkan is my favorite unique unit. And I feel like in this situation is completely justified. You could say that, hey, Knights will do the same, but I think what Tarkins give you, I think Tarkins also train a little faster than Knights, so if you get the Marauder's unique tech on the castle, which is something you can get immediately now because it is a castle unique tech, you can mess Tarkins a little easier than Knights, and they're also a little bit more resistant to arrow fire, which means that overall, in terms of like just pure archer resistance, you're actually getting a decent value. Now, the drawback of that is that their base damage output is actually weaker, so it is 10 for a Knight, I believe, and 8 for a Tarkin. Elite Tarkins are even more devastating, so Elite Tarkins are a very, very scary unit. The reason why I don't see them very often is because in 1v1s, usually by the time you get to Tarkins, your opponent can switch into Halberdiers. I think Ganji is gonna tap out when he sees his opponent is an Imperial, so we might not see Tarkins here either. And in team games, Paladins are still better than Tarkins because you need a general purpose cavalry unit. Something that is, as I said, general purpose. And not something that's a little bit more role specific because Tarkins are a lot more role specific. It seems like the skateboarding and forging isn't going to be used right away by BacT, and he's prioritizing the archer upgrade, so chemistry bracer comes in here for him. Now tries to push the left side, and he's playing a very, very decent wood denial game, and it seems like we're just gonna have light calves. I feel sad, because I wanted to see Tarkins here. Still, I feel like Ganji has nowhere to go, and he's getting torn apart by the mobility of the opponent. I would like to point out that it is really sloppy from BacT that he was missing on Tumbling the whole time. He was playing Cav Archers, but that's an awfully late Tumbling for a Cav Archer play, and like, Tumbling is one of the most important upgrades for your Cav Archers, as Ganji is trying to go up into Imperial, but that is very likely that we're going to have that castle going down. And in the meanwhile, you see that his eco is now absolutely getting torn apart. 6 hours of Voyager idle time right now for Ganji. And I don't think that Ganji is going to have the chance to reach Imperial here. I think he was using this TC as well for imping, which I'm not even sure if it actually stays up that long, because once this castle is down, the traps might go and take this TC down. And that means that BacT is taking game number 1 over here. Hans versus Britons. I have to say that this wasn't as clean from BacT as it should have been. That's what I'm saying. So the thing is that Ganji is a good player, but still the clear favorite of this series is BacT. And the thing is that BacT had a lot of sloppy moments as well. And when I'm saying it wasn't as clear as it should have been, I'm referring to the fact that like BacT actually wants to be in the main event. So it's not just like, okay, we're going to play a couple of games, maybe get some prize money from the qualifiers. He actually wants to be in the main event of the tournament. But for that, especially seeing all the competition, now that I have casted all the qualifiers from the first round, I feel like with that competition, it's going to be very, very hard for BacT to get into the main event. Is if he isn't able to step up his game compared to what he had in the previous one. Anyways, Ganji will be playing Japanese in blue on the left side. Right side is going to be BacT in red as Portuguese. And that's an interesting concept from BacT here. Is he maybe trying to sneak a Voyager to the corner of the opponent? What is... Oh, BacT is walling in the berries of the opponent. I see. Now quick was the Voyager in... Once again, another quick wall from BacT. I'm not sure what he was planning to do, but I feel like what he's thinking about is maybe trying to lame those berries and making sure that when his opponent loses fishing go. By the way, look at how... What is BacT doing? This is actual bullying. He lets that Voyager kill that Vol every time and then quick calls the Voyager around once again. This was like legit bullying here. Now, at the end, he loses that one Voyager, but I'm not sure what BacT tried to do here. I feel like he was maybe trolling a little bit, sort of. Now, the thing is that it seems like Ganji also killed one Voyager, probably on the dock over here, as we now can slow down things. Once again, I apologize that we kind of have to go through Dark Ages a little fast. It is just physically impossible to cast 32 series that are each 1.5–2 hours long. in just 1 week so that we finish for the round of 32s. That's a faster fuel age from BacT, so he was able to land one more hit on Ganji's scout. Still, Ganji has the HP advantage over here. He's trying to look for that villager, but that shouldn't really be a thing. And we're gonna have this strong Japanese fishing ships over here, triple dock fire galleys from Ganji, and only double docks for BacT. So Portuguese versus Japanese. Now, the thing is that I think I like Portuguese a little bit more. They're a little bit more versatile in my perspective than Japanese are. However, in the water, this is going to be tricky because the fire galleys are better for BacT, and also they are cheaper because they cost less gold. But it's so hard to kill the fishing ships. So the only way that BacT is able to really capitalize on this Portuguese, bonus of having stronger and cheaper fishing fire ships is if he's able to win this fight, and then he's able to finish off the fishing geek of the opponent. Now, that could be a nice demo snipe over there from Ganji. Sinks one, nice splits over there from BacT to save two. But the thing is that as long as if BacT loses his fishing ships over here and Ganji does not, that's going to be a pretty persistent eco advantage over there. So, yeah, sure. BacT, even if BacT is winning or partially winning water, as long as he's not killing the fishing ships that they're doing some work, as that was a nice demo hit, that's going to be an advantage for Ganji. Now there is more demos coming in for BacT, and he could get some nice demo hits in here. I think he might be targeting the repair wall. Now goes for the fire galleys over there. And the fishing ships are slowly going down here. There is going to be a repair villager coming in here as well from BacT. Still, the fishing ships are alive. That's why you pick Japanese on maps like this. They are just impossible to destroy. And also worth noting, as I said, is that I think the third dock for Ganji was much earlier than the third dock for BacT, which means that he's technically supposed to have the numbers advantage, and that's more or less true as well. Here comes Ganji's demo. Actually detonates quite nicely over there. So he's slowly gaining the upper hand on water, I would say. Nice move from BacT, saving that low HP fire galley though. BacT is definitely one of the better water players out there. So we'll see what Ganji can do against him right now, because it's only 2 fire galleys versus 4. And that could be another one that goes down very easily. A demo comes in here. That's a very inefficient demo from BacT. BacT once again is doing an excellent job saving the low HP ships. If I had to point out what's the reason why BacT is winning water, it's probably because he's doing an excellent job pulling away the weak fire galleys and making sure that he doesn't really lose numbers. Because losing HP is one thing, but losing numbers is something different. Also, obviously, it's helping that his fire galleys are cheaper, but more importantly, have 10% extra health. That is extremely helpful. Demo coming in here from Ganji. Nice split from BacT. As BacT is bringing in his own demo. Now, that is going to be an excellent hit. Hits 2 fire galleys and also hits a demo. And there is very few ships left on the field, or not really a field, but left on the water here for Ganji. He has 2 very weak fire galleys that could have been destroyed earlier. Now comes a demo. Demo is gonna go for a villager, and that is a cleanup on the water. Now BacT is playing without double BitAxe, but this is the moment where BacT has to start thinking about, hey, my opponent is gonna start pushing me on land, because once you lose the water, you start pushing land. I think that is what Ganji is thinking about. We'll see if BacT is actually going to drop outposts over here as well to see if there's something coming his way. Still, this is the moment where Ganji starts losing his fishing eco. But it is also worth pointing out that there was a lot of idle time on them, and Ganji had 253 idle time on that TC, whereas it's only 46 seconds from BacT, which means that there is an 8 villagers lead already for BacT. That is enormous. 8 villagers lead at this stage of the game, and you're about to control the water, and BacT only has 2 fishing ships, so BacT could make 2 more fishing ships very easily over here to further increase his eco advantage, as he's gonna start walling off his base. He's actually going for some pretty ambitious walls overall, so pretty far out. And I guess what he's planning to do is that he's just gonna use his naval advantage to potentially block the opponent from going in. So what you could do is vault off over here and then have a demo inside here. And if your opponent tries to run past, you just unpop the demo and sink that army. That could be absolutely viable over here. So now that the food eco is a lot better for BacT, as he's having an untouched fishing, and that should propel him to a much better castle age time. Ganji is trying to invest into a land army. I don't think that BacT sees that. Yeah, BacT has no idea about that one, although In such situations, you can suspect it, as BacT is thinking about buying himself up to Castle Age. Demo snipe attempt coming in here from Ganji, but nice fishing ship split. As Ganji is trying to sink too, but only finds 1 kill over here. Ganji is not giving up on this one, as he's trying to dive in and snipe that final fishing ship. But still, I feel like the damage has already been done. And eventually, Ganji is just losing fire galleys over here, and it's easier to replenish the fishing ships than it is to replenish the fire galleys, especially now that BacT has a huge eco lead. So, yeah, sure, you're killing fishing ships, but eventually you're gonna lose water, as it seems, and you're spending a lot of resources on those fire galleys, whereas your opponent can replace the fishing ships relatively easily over here. That's a massive Castle Age advantage for BacT. I would think that based on the fact that Ganji is buying food, he's also thinking about going for Castle Age here, but even with selling the stone, he's not even remotely close to going up, and that is really scary for him. The docks are slowly going down, and that should mean that BacT is going to have a relatively easy time getting a couple more fishing ships in. Now, there is no demo from BacT to sink those archers, and that could be dangerous because 2 archers running into your eco could cause a lot of chaos. BacT is on stone with a lot of Voyagers. Makes me wonder if we're going to see Organ Guns from him, as I think Ganji is gonna find that. BacT will probably make a defensive tower on that stone mine and he's going to be fine. There's actually an opening here. There's an opening and the scout is going to keep that open, I believe. So, a bit of a disaster over there from BacT. That's going to be -1 Voyager. But he will survive, and he will probably drop a defensive tower. Yeah, this Voyager is dead. I like the move from BacT, by the way, turning back and hitting those archers a couple times. Because he knew that that Voyager was dead. Might as well turn around and get some damage done on these archers. Anyways, as I said, it feels like BacT is not really willing to drop a defensive tower here. Makes me wonder if he just wants a castle right away. But he won't be able to do that. He's actually unable to do that. Trying to get house up here. What he's actually playing for is that the Voyagers can access the stone mine from this side, but not from this side. And he's trying to make sure that he's not losing Voyagers on this side. Siege Workshop coming in here. I'm not sure if it was originally part of the plan, but now he needs it against those archers. And he's also getting a lot of fishing ships out over here, so it's 45 eco against 40, and he's already up to Castle Age. And we'll have fishing ships with gill nets. And as I said, I feel like the original idea here for Ganji was to go Organ Guns with a castle. Now, one might say that an Organ Gun play is something that is meme-esque, so to say, but it actually is a pretty decent unit to start with. It has a very high damage output, relatively fast training, and relatively cheap as well, compared to the damage that you can cause with it. So the thing is that Organ Gun is actually very, very viable as a unit in such situations. Obviously, they're slow moving, but you're probably just going to go directly to the opponent's base here. And Organ Guns are also pretty decent against archers at the beginning. So that's probably the part of the plan for BacT. Indeed, he is dropping the castle right now. Ganji is up to Castle Age, going for Crossbowman. He's going to lose everything that he has had on water and on the shoreline. So now it's an untouched fishing eco for BacT, and it's an 11 Voyagers lead right now for BacT. And we had some crazy leg spikes over here. Not sure why that happened. Anyways, crossbows are in here. Why are we lagging? I'm starting to think that it is actually... I just looked at my computer's performance, and my computer is very, very happy right now. So it might have been lagged for the players that we are actually seeing. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure if that's actually going to show in a rack or so. But what I was looking at is my computer was at like 40% usage of CPU with all the recordings and whatnot. So it is very unlikely that it was my computer lagging here, or I don't really see the point of capture age lag here. Anyways, we're gonna have 3 TCs for BacT here with Organ Guns, Mangonels, and on the other side, Ganji will only be playing on 1 TC for now, adding TC number 2 right away. The food eco isn't really great for BacT though, so he's gonna have to start adding fish traps. In this one, crossbows might actually try getting some fish traps kill over here. Organ Guns getting sniped down. The initial Organ Guns, like 1 or 2 Organ Guns aren't great against crossbows. You need like 4 or 5 of them, and then they will start being devastating So Scorpion taking down some of the crossbows. And at the end of the day, I feel like the problem that Ganji is going to be facing is that he's going to get flat out outboomed. It's 44 villagers against 57, and that's going to start showing soon. So the boom is going to start kicking in for BacT, even though he now has a lot of TC idle time as well, because as I said, his food eco is far from being sufficient to being able to sustain this level of production. But now he's focusing heavily on wood because he wants to just drop fish traps and start getting a crazy fish boom up for himself. He's gonna have a couple of defensive organ guns, and we'll see what he does in Imperial. Could be an Arbalest switch, but I feel like he right now is just booming and waiting until he can actually get into Imperial here. Whereas Ganji, he's trying to catch up, but it's going to be an uphill battle over here. If he actually does a better job building up his food eco than BacT, then maybe he can actually do a 2TC Imperial here with a forward castle and trebs and arbs. That could be something to consider for him, but he's behind by 15 villagers, and he also has only 2 TCs as opposed to his opponent having 3 TCs and fish boom over here. So that's gonna be extremely hard to catch up with if you're Ganji. Even though BacT has a lot of TC time right now, you see that the TC idle time indicator over here is just going up like crazy. So really, BacT's food eco here and overall BacT's villager production is actually pretty bad. He's idling all 3 of his TCs right now, and I'm not sure if this is... Well, in fact, I'm sure it's not intentional idling over here. This fight is gonna end up being, I think, a 1-for-1. Mangonel takes one more shot out. Nice split over there from Ganji. He might be able to try harassing that wood line over here. So, still 10 villagers lead for BacT, but his TC idle time is increasing pretty rapidly. So, the only way, as I said, if or how Ganji could actually win this one is if BacT isn't able to capitalize on the massive eco lead that he's having right now. And he should be able to. Like, it's 3 TCs as opposed to 2, fish boom. You are supposed to be able to just outboom your opponent pretty easily, and this is what I was talking about. Organ guns, once you have a decent amount of them, they're actually very, very good against archers. 4 pierce armor is actually a lot, if you consider that that's basically the pierce armor of a +2/+2 knight. 60 HP is also not that bad, and the damage output of these guys are actually pretty impressive. So Organ guns are really a strong unit over here. And now it seems like BacT will stop booming and actually start pushing forward. Still 10 villagers lead in his possession, as we might see him playing a little more aggressive. He's still having 6 on stone, so it's not impossible that there will be a second castle at some point. The real question is where. So, Mangonel, let's see if it is actually able to connect. Organ guns coming from the other side as well. And there is even a repair villager coming in here to repair these. Nice micro over there from Ganji evading these projectiles. And he's microing down those boys. And knowing BacT and knowing that he often has the tendency to be a very aggressive player, I would think that this castle might even be attempted some round over here. That would be a very, very ballsy castle. Okay, it's gonna be a little bit more passive, so he's playing this one safe. Still, this castle should have no trouble going up here with the organ gun support, with the siege support. And if you look at the resource for BacT, now his food eco is kicking in. And he's already at 500 food. He can soon start thinking about going for Imperial Age over here. But honestly, with the army comp that he's having right now, he might be able to push this one even in Castle Age. So he's actually mangoing down his own, organ guns. But yeah, the castle goes up, that means more organ guns, that means this siege workshop pretty much being useless because mangonels popping out will immediately be destroyed. And as I said, BacT once again is going to imp this one. As competitive as the first game was, this feels very, very one-sided, because ever since BacT won the water, he has been having a massive advantage over his opponent, and the only time where Ganji was able to potentially hit his eco was when the archers actually came in here. That being said, Ganji actually killed 12 villagers from his opponent, which is admirable, I would say. I'm not even sure where those 12 villagers went down. But still, Imperial Age is coming in now. For BacT, he could do basically whatever he wants right now with this 16 villagers lead plus Imperial Age. He could switch into Cavalier, which is still reliable. For Portuguese, he could actually mix in Arbalasts. Or he could just say, okay, I'm gonna push with organ guns and Imperial and bombard cannons. That could also be a possibility. Or organ guns rams could also work out nicely. Because the thing is that ARBs will not be able to destroy rams, so you need mangonels or you need villagers pulled to destroy them, and organ guns will just snap them off. So that would be a possibility as well. The fact that we're seeing fletching could mean that we could have archers, although it is still not something that we are seeing on the field. Ganji is actually sending villagers to stone, so he wants to wall this, or not wall, but wants a castle somewhere around over here to protect his base from the organ guns that are getting closer and closer to this base. Very, very nice micro, by the way, from Ganji. So he's just out-microing those organ guns really, really well, barely losing a single crossbow. Look at that slaughter. And the only problem, as I said, is that he's just too far behind right now. As even with fletching and botkin, it seems like we're seeing more and more organ guns. So that might just be for the castle's range upgrade. And 14 on stone for BacT. He will attempt another castle, and I would think that when he reaches Imperial, if his opponent isn't tapping out, that castle's gonna be pretty aggressive, now that he has two rather passive castles. Also tries outposting all around the map as he's sneaking a couple of organ guns and a mangonel to the back of Ganji's base. Ganji will try to go into Imperial as well, that's why he's rushing up a monastery, needs some eco-balancing, but Ganji just says, okay, you're imp, I am not, and he knows exactly that with this imp advantage, BacT could do whatever he wants. I think if he just looks at the score, I think it tells the whole story. 7.2k score, 4.3 for Ganji. Obviously, part of that is the quite impressive KD that BacT is having over here for himself. But as I said, as competitive as the first game was, this one was a very, very, very one-sided game. With that, we are gonna have Japanese gone for Ganji, and BacT will be losing Portuguese here. The final two picks that he has had, and the last home map of Ganji here in this one is going to be slopes, and I would assume that Ganji is going to be playing Indians here, and his opponent will probably be playing Mongols. That's the very, very, very standard way of doing things here, and we have seen it a couple of times in Hidden Cup 3. And the thing is that without the extra fish for the Indians, the Mongols is actually a better civilization over here because their unit composition is just much, much better. Left side is Ganji in blue Indians, right side is going to be BacT as Mongols in red. So this is tricky. I think that both players will probably attempt moving out to the outside, but I actually like Mongols for a lot of reasons over here. Especially if that's a lame attempt from BacT. I think that wanted to be a lame attempt, now it's not going to be one. And I think that Ganji knows exactly it was a lame attempt, because he deliberately took the scout fight, just to make sure that his opponent's scout is weak enough, so that it is unable to lame the boar away. But when you're up against Mongols like this, you really consider laming them, because just as I wanted to say that, what am I talking about? Ganji's Indians. Still, on that thought, what I wanted to point out exactly is that one of the other reasons why I like Mongols over Indians is because Indians are getting the shore fishing bonus, that's nice. Especially if Ganji is not even going out, which is weird. But the Mongols are already getting their bonus for the hunt under the TC, so the boars. So sort of their bonus is actually worth a lot more on this map. You get the extra food from, or not the extra food, but the faster gathering rate from the ibissees here on the outside, but you also get it from the boars, whereas the Indian player only gets it from the shorefish. So if you're not moving out here, and it seems like Ganji is not moving out, which really raises the question of why you're picking this civilization over here, other than potentially what is gonna be maybe a Man-at-Arms opening attempt, but 20 pop Man-at-Arms is not really a thing here either. I don't know what Ganji's up to. I have absolutely no idea. But he didn't go out for a pawns with Indians, which kind of means, wait, like, if you want to play this, you might as well play Magyars, so that you have cheaper scouts and stronger scouts at the beginning, or Franks whatsoever. Obviously, Franks was picked by his opponent for the draft, and it was snapped, so it wasn't possible, but Magyars would have been available for such a play. I don't really understand the point of doing this. Maybe it's part of a mind game, so that he makes his opponent believe that, hey, you know, I'm Indian, so I'm gonna go out to the pawns, so that BacT is going to be looking for it over there, but that's not really a thing here. And if you take a look at BacT, he's going to be in a much better position. He already took the hunt with Mongols here, and now he's taking the shorefish. And fuel age timings are, I think, pretty close for both players. Both of them are already up. But what is Ganji even up to? Like, as good as he played in the first game, like, the second game was not so great for him. This third game is like absolute WTF. This seems like it's a straight archer build, but want it to be a 21 pop straight archer build, so he's either doing some crazy mind games over here, going for a scouts build uptime with Indians, to make his opponent believe that he's shore fishing and he's playing scouts, but instead playing standard and playing archers, or I don't know what's up. But I really don't know what he's up to here, because like, currently this build order seems like a boom into GG build order, and just like we have seen in the first game, where BacT pulled the villagers and dropped towers with his scouts, this could be very possible here as well for BacT, who is already making an archer range, so he knows that this is probably going to be archers from Ganji eventually, because he's not making scouts already. And I wonder if Ganji just wants to boom up into Castle Age here. The problem is that you're letting your opponent take the shorefish on the outside, and we have seen this numerous times on this map, that if you just try to boom in the middle, your opponent obviously is going to invest more into his army. However, it's going to be compensated by the fact that you already have the outside pawns and hunt, so your eco is still going to be at least comparable to your opponent. Ganji takes the hill and takes a nice engagement over here, but loses the scout, so from this point on he's gonna have no idea what his opponent is up to. In fact, he doesn't see the archer range, which is an important piece as well, and really, it starts to feel like Ganji just wants to boom up into Castle Age here, like a fast feudal boom into castle, hoping that his opponent isn't able to punish him for doing that. But the thing is, as I said, the Mongols player, especially with the extra hunt, especially with the shorefish available, BacT could have sent 4 villagers out here already as well, because he's just not getting pressured at all, and that means that he could just easily take this one as well. I think BacT is a little bit afraid of his opponent having a couple of archers somewhere, and that's probably the reason why he's not just sending out villagers over there. But if BacT knew that his opponent is just going for a full boom into Castle Age, he would send out 3 villagers over here, 3 villagers over here, and he would catch up in Castle Age time, because the thing is that his opponent is not gonna have the hunt, the shorefish over here. Still, the Castle Age from Ganji is gonna be slightly better. He sees the spearman. Ganji is not showing the archers, but you also have to consider that BacT is making archers here, and BacT might unleash the archers once he has 5 of them. In the meanwhile, there is a blacksmith coming in here, and it seems like BacT just playing very passive back at home. No risk for him taken, but that also means that Ganji is beating him to Castle Age, and I feel like BacT didn't actually punish Ganji for what was an absolutely awful idea, and a very super greedy play in fact. So, with that, scouts trying to bash their way through this one. Eventually it's going to be crossbows from Ganji, who is going up to Castle Age here. If BacT went out to take the hunt and shorefish over here as well, and he could have done it because, as I said, he was under no pressure, then we would probably be looking at an even Castle Age time already. That being said, if these archers are heading this way, I think they might be expecting Ganji to be outside, I don't know. But still, the real question is, what can Ganji do with a couple of crossbows that he's gonna have, especially because he's gonna have to defend his base over here, just getting fletching. And I think one of the reasons why BacT will attack from this side is because he can use the archers with the hill advantage against the walls, and that helps quite a lot. So he could have tried getting through here as well, but the hill advantage is gonna be here, and Ganji actually wants to make a range here, which is, I think, a very bad decision, because this range is not going up, and he needed that second range over there. That's a very bad decision over there. I see that he's trying to revolve, but you're trying to revolve with a building that you're gonna need. And it seems like he might be moving out with the archers. Nope. He's just scouting with a spearman. The archers are waiting over here. Now BacT is gonna have to withdraw, seeing that his opponent is in Castle Age. But it's only 6 archers, and now BacT knows that his opponent is up. BacT also knows what unit he's going for because he sees the range. And it seems like BacT actually wants to go full aggro now and commit. I feel like this is a late commitment though. Like, your opponent is up. You don't want to fight against crossbows over here with your archers unless you are like super duper confident. Nice quick pause over there from Ganji, as BacT actually is willing to take this fight over here. Unupgraded scouts and archers versus crossbows. Now he disengages as he's clicking up himself. Nice maneuvering over there, by the way. He has to... Like, the thing is that BacT is doing this one very, very nicely. So, in order to save his archers, he needed to make sure that the crossbows don't start chasing the archers. And you achieve that by keeping the scouts inside, because if the crossbows start chasing the archers, then the scouts will actually start running past the TC, and they could have run past the TC over here and potentially hit the villagers behind over here. So, by having, like, moving the scouts around, it seems like BacT is still willing to take this fight over here with the hill, or he's just absolutely potatoing his game over here. I don't know which is true. It seems like he just didn't withdraw in time. I think he wanted to keep this army here so that he can immediately attack once he reaches Castle Age. It seems like crossbows will eventually clean up the scouts over here. But BacT is gonna go for a couple more archers. Once again, I feel like both players are actually playing this one really badly. Like, the thing is that BacT's game plan, or no, what is that? Ganji's game plan is a 0 out of a scale of 10. In fact, I'm legit surprised he's still alive, because I feel like this could have been punished so much. On the other hand, BacT's reaction to that is also a 0 out of 10 on a scale of 10, because he kind of felt surprised when he saw his opponent already in Castle Age, when it was fairly obvious that your opponent is just walling up and booming. So he's gonna be up to Castle Age a little faster than you are. Ganji moving out for TC on the wood lines. It is 11 crossbows versus 11 crossbows over here, as it is a single range build from both players. It seems like BacT isn't willing to move out to the outside. So the thing is that Ganji wasn't punished for his build over here, and that kind of gives him an option and a chance to be competitive in this game. University coming in here for ballistics for BacT. Ganji is trying to find some villagers over here on the mill, but there is none. He might check if there is any villagers around here. Trying to make a TC. +2 defense already coming in for BacT, only +1 for Ganji. And I think BacT might actually take some nice downhill shots over here with the crossbows. That is going to be an exposed gold mine. And remember that he's already going for ballistics in a matter of moments. He could afford ballistics now. So once he has ballistics, that's going to be a tough one for Ganji to fight, who is playing 2 TCs, no ballistics, and double range though, whereas it's only single range from BacT. That's also kind of a misplay. Just single range crossbows. Neither, like, Ganji didn't make a single army in Feudal Age. His opponent is playing 1 range archers even in Castle Age. Is it possible to just say that both players should lose this game? Because really, one of the benefits that I have had from watching, basically, with the exception of this one and another series, I watched all the round of 64 qualifiers. So I see what kind of competition these guys are having, and I feel like both of them are actually being pretty bad on this game compared to what I've seen from other players, and that includes some lower seeded players as well, because this is not execution-based mistake, this is decision-making, like absolutely awful decision-making from both sides. Now Siege Workshop for BacT, but I think BacT honestly feels kind of surprised that he's encountering crossbows. He's like, crossbows in Castle Age? What type of sorcery is that? But really, he doesn't have gold right now, he's mining stone, he tries to go for Mangadai, but the thing is that it feels like both players were playing this as if this was, I don't know, Arena or so. Because they were both like, okay, I can just boom in Feudal Age without actually getting pressured. Okay, I can just play 1 range crossbows over here, as if nothing happened. No, you can't. This map is a lot more aggressive than that. So, really, I feel like neither of these players deserve a win in this game, but one of them will eventually get it. And when that castle goes up, that's gonna secure a lot of gold and stone as well for BacT. He's gonna have the mangonels out. In the long term, as I said, I like Mongols a lot more. over here, and also BacT killed more villagers from his opponent, and he's also free TCs as opposed to 2. So he's also playing greedy. I really dislike his game plan as well. His reactions felt super slow to what Ganji was doing. In fact, he borderline felt kind of surprised to see Ganji doing this, and that could be a doubt castle. Oh, why do I have to watch this? It hurts to watch this game, I have to say. Really. So, like, the thing is that I feel like in this game, with the exception of the initial feudal age plan for Ganji, I massively disagree with that plan. I think that was an awful game plan. But after that, Ganji's playing this one better than BacT does. So, he's at least understanding that in this game you kind of have to attack in Castle Age. And he does that. So, really, I don't like the fact that he just went for a boom into Castle Age here. As he has... look at how many villagers he's got queued up on those TCs. Cheap Indian villagers, man. Cheap Indian villas. Now, if you're Ganji here, especially with match point in the hands of BacT, what you're gonna do is most likely work towards a castle drop, because that's something that you could actually punish BacT for playing really low army right now, because BacT is sort of just playing, you know, oh yeah, boom into Mangonai, and it's something I really dislike here. Like, that was an ambitious castle, considering that he was only playing one range archers for the whole time. And if Ganji sent like 5, 6, 7 villagers on stone, he could get enough stone for a castle pretty rapidly, and just drop a castle here, and suddenly his opponent could be in serious trouble. Having a stone mine denied over here and a castle in your face would hurt so much for a Mongol player over here. Anyways, for now, BacT is able to secure this position with the siege weapons, and it seems like he is gonna be able to potentially get that castle up. Skirmishers pop out once again. That castle is gonna be denied, I believe, if you focus down the wheels. And BacT will once again place a doubt castle over there. Eventually he gets it up because the skirmishers will finish off the crossbows, but now it's an 11 villagers for Ganji. So, in the meanwhile, Ganji is expanding towards these spawns, and it seems like now he wanted to use the Indian fishing bonus over here. A lot of villagers are idle over here though. This crossbow is just lonely, shooting at the TC. TC not firing back in this very moment, as we have Boso coming in just now for Ganji. But now it's going to be Mangodai, and that is where things start to get extremely tough for Ganji. That's a very nice castle from BacT over there, because he wants to secure this corner for himself, for the gold, for the wood, and getting a castle up over here is going to be extremely helpful. At doing so, using these outposts, he knows exactly where his opponent is at. That doesn't actually mean that he can actually stop the crossbows that could potentially deny another castle over here. There is Mangodai on the way, but there isn't really a lot of upgrades on them. So ballistics will be in, but no bloodlines, no husbandry, no tumbling. So those Mangodai will be pretty weak at the beginning of the game. And Ganji will not be able to deny this castle. This castle is going up. And the mobility advantage of the Mangodai over the crossbows will start showing soon though, I believe. So I feel like Ganji, he's 8 on stone now, but I feel like his opportunity has passed to castle drop his opponent, and now he's sort of stuck over here a little bit with crossbows that lead him to nowhere with Indians, basically. And now that Indian Camel's Pierce Armor has been nerfed in Imperial Camels will not really be a very good long-term solution against Mangodai. In fact, Mangodai should have no trouble dealing with Imp Camels. So it is 3 TCs for Ganji, 4 TCs for BacT. Rather passive game, I have to say, but I think that a passive game is actually benefiting BacT over here pretty much, because he's able to just boom up into Mangodai. Villager count now evening out. These crossbows will try to attack... Where can they even attack? That's my problem. Like, I'm just thinking over here, where could they attack? BacT is actually at the second layer of houses over here very easily. preventing those crossbows from pushing this one. This is the only place where they could do some sort of damage, and that is going to be some nice damage though. Ballistics is in for Ganji, so that's -3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 Voyagers for BacT. You can once again say that his reactions weren't super sharp in this matter. Anyways, he was probably microing his Mangonels and Mangudais over here. And the thing is that 5 Voyagers might be something that he can actually survive losing, because now he's going to have the Mangudai, and the Mangudai and Mangonel over here will start pushing this part of Ganji's base. Ganji's actually going into Imperial here though with Elite Skirm. That is going to be interesting to look at, because he's beating his opponent to Imperial big time. And the thing is that if you could go like Imp Skirm, or not Imp Skirm, but Elite Skirm in Imperial, drop a castle somewhere over here and start trapping these buildings down, you could actually destroy the castles that are making the Mangudai. That would be the game plan, I would assume, for Ganji. His opponent isn't far away from Imperial himself either, even though that's going to be Thumbring first. And Ganji can afford a castle. So technically, it is possible that Ganji is going to be able to secure this win for himself in this game. That was some nice micro from him, picking off the Scorpions. And you see that Ganji is a pretty skilled player mechanically. Game number 1, I feel like the Britain's pick actually hurt him quite badly, but played good overall. Game number 2, he just got outplayed on water, and that snowballed the game basically. Game number 3, I feel like his game plan was pretty bad over here, but it's not just about the feudal full boom play. It's also about Indians, which are just inferior to Mongols in every way possible on this map now. Mangonel versus Mangonel over here. BacT loses 1 Mangonel to Ganji right now. Ganji's up to Imperial. And now it's going to be multiple castles being dropped. There is a castle being dropped here by BacT. And more importantly, Ganji wanted to build the castle on the middle with these Voyagers, but they will be intercepted by the Mangudai, and that is delaying this castle here. This is extremely important because now BacT can say, hey, I know that you're Imperial Age, so I know what you're planning. You're planning Trebs, you're planning Elite Skirms. It seems like he's going to start adding Light Cavalry over here, and I wonder if he's not even planning to go into Imperial and just say, okay, whatever, I'm gonna go full Castle Age against you, because I'm gonna have the Mangudai in here, and if that castle goes denied, I don't think that Ganji is gonna have a shot at winning this game, because he's not gonna be able to destroy the castles. That's the thing. And now, indeed, Imperial Age is going to be a thing soon for BacT as well. He's not taking great engagements here, although truth being told, the skirms don't have any Imperial Age upgrades, which means that they are basically Castle Age Elite skirms. That's still not great for BacT, but I think he can afford to take this fight. Now he's got a 20 Voyagers lead, and I think the more I see this engagement and the more I see the fact that Ganji is not gonna get that castle up. There's a castle up over here, and Ganji will probably try to get a trap out here, but that, in the best case scenario, is just going to destroy this castle. But the middle of the map is sort of lost right now. This castle is not gonna go up anytime soon, and I've already seen Light Cav being added, or at least the technology, from BacT, and he's going into Imperial. It's not completely over yet, especially because BacT is losing a lot of the Mangudai to the Elite Skirm. However, I feel like if Ganji is not able to get this castle up over here, it's absolutely game over. That castle is going to be heavily damaged because the Ram already has been beating up really badly. You see that it's going to be like a 50% at max castle. Yeah, it's going to be a little less than 50% HP on that castle. And first trap just being set up over here by Ganji. Keep in mind that BacT is Mongols with Mangudai, which means that he can always dive in with the Mangudai and snipe Trebs, whereas his opponent is almost exclusively skirmishers. So the thing is that BacT can always just say, okay, whatever, I'm gonna loop all the way around, hit that trap from the back, take it down, and buy myself some time. Or he could just sacrifice that castle, because that seems like it is going to happen as well. There's a trap on the way as well from Ganji now. The thing is that BacT has to keep this castle alive. He's getting the cavalry out right now, sitting on just +1 defense and bloodlines on these guys. But these guys will eventually be killed by Light Cav. That's, I think, 6-7 Light Cav is already enough to clean this one up over here. The castle on the left goes down, but the Mangudai do break into Ganji's base. 10 Villagers lead right now for BacT, but I feel like once he reaches Imperial, things will start changing dramatically. He was gonna have to repair that castle, and it's a little sloppy that he's throwing away 2 Mangudais like that, but The mobility advantage is going to be huge, and the trap snipe potential is huge. So he's going to clean this army up here, which means that Ganji is going to have like a very, very little army overall, and he can just dive in with the light cav and snipe the traps over there. Indeed, that is a cleanup, and I don't see the follow-up of this one and from Ganji, and it's also a very, very nice move from BacT, that he's pulling away the rest of the light cav because he knows that 2 hussars are enough to finish this one off, but he needs to snipe these traps right away. So he actually pulled these off. Ganji will try to block the light cav from accessing the trap, and that sort of seems to work out. The castle still under heavy fire as the trap is slowly going down. Mangudai will loop all the way around. 1 trap goes down, so that should be enough for BacT to hold that castle for now, as we have a Cav Archer play. So it looks like Ganji is trying to play Cav Archers. Aggressive castle drop here on the right side by BacT, who is going to run straight into the food eco of his opponent. 44 on food from Ganji, but that's soon going to decrease. And the thing is that Cav Archers initially might be fine against the Mangudai. I'm sure you can mess them easier than the Mangudai because you need castles for the Mangudai and you only need ranges for the Cav Archers. But I feel like in late Imperial scenario, I just like Mangudai plus light cap from Mongols a lot more. This is what I was referring to when I said that the Mongol late game composition is much, much better than what the Indians can bring to the table. And Ganji now 20 villagers behind. He has had some good moments here, and really it is showing why he's a good team game player, because mechanically he's very good as a player. The problem that he's facing is that I feel like he just doesn't have a very, very clean 1v1 decision making. Now, this castle is still going down, but behind this one, Ganji is gonna lose like the majority of his eco, and even if that castle goes down, BacT still has 2 more castles working for him, and look at this on the right side. If this goes down, Ganji's eco is gonna collapse, and he's just going to lose the unit spam war here. So more Hussar diving in here. Ganji is repairing that castle, and he does lose it at the end of the day. But the thing is that Ganji is still gonna need some time until he can actually push a little deeper into the opponent's base. Bracer was missing the whole time from those Mangudai. That hurts so much for BacT. Once again, I feel like the more I'm looking at this game, the more I'm saying that Ganji is actually outplaying BacT. It's just about the fact that BacT has gotten a so big advantage that it's going to be insanely hard for Ganji to turn this around, if not impossible. Because bad decision after bad decision as well from BacT, and it's like sloppy moves whatsoever. Like being that late with Bracer when you were using your Mangudai to fight against skirmishers, and they were still without Bracer, so that was once again very, very sloppy. Now these traps will be firing up hills, but it's still free traps. And that's a nice move from Ganji once again, dropping a gate in front of the traps to make sure that a couple of Hussar won't be able to snipe it, and they will attempt to do so. It's only a polycide gate here though, so they might try bashing their way through. Castle once again is being lost here by BacT, and the thing is that he's giving up on his castles very, very easily over here. And where are the Mangudai at? He's got 5 Mangudai. Oh my god, why am I watching this game? It hurts to see Mongols being wasted so badly. Where are the Mangudai at? Why are you sitting on 1000 food? It is actually tilting for me casting this. I understand it's huge pressure in a tournament, and I would probably perform way worse when I have to play than these players are. But they're high-level players, and you call them high-level players because they play well. But in this game, if they rewatch the recordings, they will also scream, "Oh boy, that was a disaster" for multiple sides. And the thing is, as I said, that I think Ganji is actually playing a lot more consistent, at least in terms of reactions, than BacT does. I really dislike the game plan for Ganji in this map, and I think that he has the worst civilization as well, because Indians are super overrated on this map. In fact, probably the most overrated civ for a certain map in this entire tournament. But in the meanwhile, for whatever reason, finally we're getting some Mangudai out, but those castles were idle for so long. You really have to ask the question if BacT should have dropped that castle on the front end. Once again, he's going for like those super aggressive castle drops, instead of maybe making 4 castles back at home and just overrunning the opponent in Mangudai. Now, light cav raids are slowly crippling Ganji's eco, and it's 134 population, it's 177. But still, if this is a win for BacT, it's gonna be an ugly win, I have to say, because I massively dislike many things that BacT has done, and as I said, he has taken a massive step back compared to his previous self. Like BacT, in his prime years, he was a top 10 player. Now you could argue if he's actually within the top 16. Like, things like these are not supposed to be happening. Why are you even attempting that castle? Just make a castle here and maybe make Mangadai. Make a couple of traps and take it down to secure the gold in the middle. What motivates you to make these castles? And I feel like one of the things that differentiates BacT from like the very high level players is that BacT is also making a lot of decision-making mistakes. So really, it's not just about, you know, being a little slow or being a little rusty, but really many things he does is not something that he should be doing, and I've been saying this for some other performance that he has had. Once again, I have ultimate respect for him because he's still like 1,000,000 times better as a player than I am, but compared to the current competitive scene, his decision making is definitely kind of bottom tier amongst the top 30 players. Now come the Rams. From him, still more Hussar in there for him. Little low on wood he is as well. And he is also out of stone. So once again I ask you, if you're out of stone, why are you throwing away your second castle here? That's gonna be a second castle he throws away here. So really, okay, that castle might actually go up at the end of the day. And I feel like, as I said, the game is too much in a favor for BacT to lose it. And he also has the civilization advantage. But, as I said, this was everything but clean. I would dare to say that, like, at least 50% of the players that are playing in the qualifiers would probably be able to beat BacT if BacT plays like this. He played really well in the second game. Game number 1 was sort of a disaster for him. Game number 3, really, he has secured himself a big lead, and as I said, I think he has the civ advantage here as well with Mongols against Indians. And that's probably one of the reasons why it is going to be nearly impossible for him now to lose this one, as he's doing a nice job with the Hussar raids. So I was bashing him a lot in this game. His Hussar raids are actually pretty nice. So he's hitting multiple parts of the opponent's eco. Really, that's actually very nice multitasking from him. But the castle positioning, the way he reacted to his opponent just going for full boom, the way that he didn't save his archers, he was actually engaging in multiple engagements against crossbows with archers. There were so many sloppy things here for BacT to clean up if he actually wants to be competitive in the qualifiers, because I have to say that, as I said, if we see the BacT that has played in game number 2, then he's gonna have a good shot at qualifying. But if we see the BacT that has played in game number 1 or game number 3, no chance. So I pointed out at the beginning of this series, as I said, that BacT struggles a lot with inconsistency, and now you see what I'm referring to. In some games, he's extremely good, like the Bay game. That was clinical, or at least almost perfect performance from him. This game was rather sloppy. Arabia was kind of sloppy as well from him. And just for example, the fact that he's floating 2,700 food and 1k gold over here right now is something, although, well, he's pop capped. So that might still be alright here, but still, I feel like this wasn't really a clean win from BacT, but he's the one winning this and he's getting to the next round. And one thing that we always have to keep in mind is that it doesn't matter what you performed in the previous round, it is always the upcoming round that matters. So BacT can say, okay, I played pretty badly. I can also say, hey, BacT didn't really have the best performance of his life. That doesn't matter. What matters is that in the next round, he needs to play just like he did in the Bay game, and he's gonna have a good shot at getting into the next round. With that, thank you so much once again for watching this series over here with me. There's only one round of 64 series that I have left to cast, and then obviously round of 32 will also be uploaded to YouTube. All of the series, and obviously next week the Decider series as well. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully you will have a nice day.